Hello and welcome back to the Balance Training and Coaching channel. My name is Kurt and it's good to see you again, and this video, as you're aware, is titled Five Bands of Language. And therefore I'm making this video for, to be honest, a lot of people, a lot of staff who frequently ask me, look, I know what I need to do, or I know what I need to say, I just need to know how to say it. And therefore this is focusing in particular on language. Now, this is just one of many hundreds and hundreds of tools and methods and techniques, considerations that you can utilize when you're engaging with people in the workplace. So again, this is not meant to be a comprehensive coverage. This is a tool, so to speak, that you can use. I hate the word tool, to be honest, but I just can't be bothered to find another word for it. So, tool. All right. Therefore, generally speaking, broadly speaking, when we speak in this part of the world, we tend to do so in one or more of the following five bands of language. Therefore, we have formal, semi-formal, normal, colloquial, and slang. And by way of a generic example, you might have, say, for example, keeper of the peace. Chief superintendent. Police officer. Copper. And sometimes it gets harder the further you go down the list. Let's try pig. So, there's an example of portraying the same thing using five different bands of language. Now, one of the most common questions I get asked is, in terms of the world of language, where should I be focusing so that I know that when I'm speaking appropriately? Well, my first answer to that is it depends on the context. And I'm going to, actually I'm not sure if this is already on the channel, I'll check, but if I haven't already made it, I'm going to make a video, a short one, on context. So do check that video out, because I go into more detail as to what that's about. I believe you'll know exactly what it's about, but it might be news to you in terms of confirmation. So I start with, what's the context? I.e., it depends where I am, who I'm with, what the culture is like. And then, as you know, I believe, all of those bands might be appropriate depending on where you are. Generally speaking, in many parts of the world these days, you want to be focusing in particular on one or two of those. And most commonly, what I find is that I've worked with 97 businesses now since 1999, and with almost all of them, you need to be using this kind of language, maybe this kind of language. But interestingly, again, it's like a bell curve. The bulk of contexts require you to simply have normal language. Normal language is absolutely fine. It's very rare that you will need to be speaking formal language all the time or most of the time. There are some contexts where you would use more of it perhaps, but there is also a lot of assumptions. So for example, perhaps the most well-to-do person I've ever worked with, like you do, is Prince Edward. I have worked with, or rather for, Prince Edward. Now, I was really quite young at the time, and I was shaking with fear, and I really felt, gosh, I've got to be very impressive and appropriate. No. So he said to me when I first met him, he said, please call me Edward. You notice he didn't say, please call me Eddie or Edmeister. Maybe he wouldn't mind, I don't think so. But he said, please call me Edward. Not your Royal Highness or, even Sir. He said, please call me Edward. And I found that working with him, for him, the requirement was simply to use normal language. Maybe a bit of semi-formal, but just normal was fine. So we do make assumptions sometimes, of course. So as a general guide, when you are working in the workplace, you're not sure where to go with the language, I would say, go there. It's going to be highly unlikely that you're going to go wrong if you're using normal language, because it's going to be clear to all parties. There you go. So, a very short video on the bands of language. If you want me to give you contextual examples in relation to your workplace and or job, feel free to get in touch. Let me know. I will very happily make you a bespoke video, and I'll write down 10, 20, 30 statements and questions that you can use, if you like, that pertain to the appropriate band language you need to be using. Okay? Yeah. So, thanks very much. I hope that was useful. And if you approve, do please like and or subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. Thanks very much. All the best. Bye-bye.